Hey there. Welcome to this deep dive into Laxmi Dental Limited's IPO.
Oh, yeah.
You sent over a really thorough stack of info on them, company background,
Yeah.
financials, even industry outlooks.
Yeah, you really did your research.
So we're going to unpack all of that and help you try to figure out if this IPO is something you should sink your teeth into, so to speak.
Yeah, I like that.
You know?
Right. I mean, you even flagged a pretty surprising fact right off the bat.
Yeah.
Laxmi Dental is the first Indian company to snag FDA clearance for clear aligners. It's a big deal.
Huge.
Ah.
Especially when you consider how dominant Invisalign is globally.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder if they could be a real disruptor.
Yeah.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
Let's start with the basics.
Okay.
Who is Laxmi Dental,
Mm-hmm.
and how did they get here?
Well, they're not exactly an overnight sensation.
Right.
They were founded back in 2004 as a private company,
Oh, good.
recently converting to public.
Got it.
For over 20 years, they've been quietly building their business, evolving from a small lab making custom crowns and bridges to a multifaceted dental product company.
So they've got that experience and history behind them.
Yeah.
But when did they really start to take off? Was there a particular turning point?
There was a strategic shift in 2009
Okay.
when they expanded their facility and began focusing more on exports.
Hmm.
That seems to have been a catalyst for their growth.
Interesting. So they had this solid foundation in custom work.
Yeah.
Then they started looking outward, expanding their reach beyond India.
Yeah.
What's the dental market like there, though? Is it big enough to support a company like Laxmi?
It's massive, and it's only getting bigger.
Okay.
The global dental products market is projected to reach USD 121.6 billion by 2030,
Wow.
which is already a huge number.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker.
Okay.
India is expected to grow even faster
Mm.
at a rate of almost 12% annually.
Wow, that's seriously impressive growth.
It is.
But what's driving that? Why is India such a hot market for dental products?
A lot of factors are at play. India's population is young
Mm.
and increasingly affluent, meaning more people have disposable income to spend on dental care, including cosmetic procedures.
Oh, I see.
And let's not forget about the rising awareness of oral health and hygiene.
Right.
People are simply taking better care of their teeth.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
A healthy smile is a big part of feeling confident.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier that the Indian dental market is pretty fragmented. Lots of small labs, often unorganized.
Yeah.
How does that impact a company like Laxmi?
It's actually an opportunity. Laxmi is one of the few large,
Right.
organized players in the market
Got it.
that allows them to drive standardization and quality control,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that's been missing in the industry.
So they're not just providing products, they're helping to professionalize the entire sector.
Right.
That's a pretty powerful position to be in.
Absolutely. And their business model reflects that they're not just a lab anymore. They've
Wow.
diversified their revenue streams to include a range of branded products.
Okay, let's talk about those branded products. You mentioned clear aligners earlier.
Yeah.
What else are they offering?
Their flagship brands include Illusion Aligners. Those are the ones with the FDA clearance.
Yep.
But they also have Illusion Zirconia,
Mm-hmm.
which is a high-quality material for crowns and bridges,
Okay.
tagless thermoforming sheets for dental appliances, and even a dedicated pediatric product line.
So they've got a pretty wide range of products catering to different needs and price points.
Yeah, they do.
But how do they actually get those products into the hands of dentists and patients?
That's where their unique B2B2C network comes in. They've cultivated relationships with over 22,000 dental clinics, companies, and individual dentists all across India.
Wow.
These dentists then recommend Laxmi's products to their patients.
Ah, so it's a smart mix of direct sales and leveraging the trust that already exists between dentists and their patients.
Mm-hmm.
No need for expensive consumer advertising campaigns when you have a network of advocates already in place.
Exactly. It's a very strategic approach, and it seems to be paying off.
Yeah.
As of September 2024, they were the only Acroda company in India,
Wow.
offering such a complete range of dental products, from basic lab services to high-tech clear aligners.
That end-to-end integration is pretty impressive.
It is.
It's like they've got the entire dental supply chain covered. No wonder they're one of the top 2 largest dental labs in India, based on 2024 revenue.
Size definitely matters in this industry, especially as competition heats up.
Speaking of competition, how does Laxmi stack up against the other big players, both domestically and internationally?
Well, In India, they're clearly a leader,
Okay.
but they also have a strong international presence,
Hmm.
exporting to over 95 countries.
That's a lot.
And they're not content with just maintaining that they're actively targeting the US and UK markets for further expansion.
That's ambitious, especially considering how competitive the U.S. dental market is.
Yeah, it is.
But with their FDA-cleared clear aligners, they might just have a fighting chance.
That's right. They're not just aiming for a slice of the pie. They're aiming to disrupt the market with their focus on digital workflows and affordable solutions.
Okay, so they've got a compelling story,
Mm-hmm.
a strong position in a growing market, and global ambitions.
Yep.
But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How are their financials looking?
Their financials are actually quite interesting. You'll see a pretty consistent upward trend in their revenue. In the first 6 months of 2024, ending on September 30th, they pulled in $248.34 million.
That's pretty solid for just half a year.
Yeah.
What about their full-year numbers?
Well, if we look back, their revenue for fiscal 2022 was $49.53 million.
Okay,
Then it jumped to $186.99 million in fiscal 2023
got it.
and hit $375.77 million in fiscal 2024.
Wow. So pretty impressive growth trajectory.
Yeah.
Definitely seeing some serious momentum there. But revenue is only part of the story.
Right.
What about their profitability?
That's where it gets even more interesting. Their EBITDA, that's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, has also been on the rise.
Okay.
For the first 6 months of 2024, it was $38.83 million.
And if you look at their fiscal year numbers, it was $1.72 million in 2022,
Okay.
$1.67 million in 2023, and then a big jump to $45.42 million in 2024.
So they're not just growing, they're becoming more profitable.
Yeah.
That's a good sign for potential investors.
It is.
What about the bottom line, though? What does their profit after tax, or PT, look like?
Their PT for the first half of 2024 was $27.05 million.
Okay.
But what's really striking is how their PT has evolved over the past few fiscal years.
Yeah.
In 2022, they actually had a loss of $5.18 million.
Wow.
Then in 2023, they turned a small profit of $2.46 million. And then boom, in 2024, their PT shot up to $55.44 million.
That's a remarkable turnaround. Going from a loss to a significant profit in just 2 years shows they're doing something right.
Yeah, it really does.
So this IPO is all about raising capital to fuel their expansion plans, right? What are the details? You're exactly right. They're doing a fresh issue of shares worth $485.000 million. This is new money coming directly from investors. A large chunk of that $435.07 million, to be precise, is earmarked for purchasing new machinery.
That makes sense. They'll need to scale up their production to meet that growing demand.
Huh.
What about the remaining funds from the fresh issue?
They're investing $250.04 million in Bizdent devices.
No.
Private Limited, a subsidiary that's also focused on dental products.
Got it.
So clearly expansion is a top priority.
They're also doing an offer for sale, right?
Uh-huh.
Existing shareholders are selling a portion of their stake. What's the breakdown on that?
The total offer for sale is $512.00 million.
Okay.
Now, the specifics of who's selling how much isn't really crucial for us to get into right now.
Right.
But the key takeaway is that this IPO is a mix of fresh capital coming in and some existing shareholders cashing out a bit.
Okay, so they're raising capital,
Yeah.
increasing their public profile, and funding their growth strategy.
Yeah.
And speaking of growth, what exactly are their plans for the future? Where do they see the biggest opportunities?
Domestically, they're aiming to deepen their penetration in the rapidly growing Indian market.
Okay.
They see huge potential for their clear aligners, especially as more people become aware of and interested in these less invasive orthodontic options.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Clear aligners are definitely having a moment.
Yeah, they are.
But they're also looking beyond India, right? We touched on their US and UK ambitions earlier.
Absolutely. They're very focused on expanding their presence in those key international markets.
Mhm.
And interestingly, they're applying a similar strategy to what worked for them in India, building a strong network of dental professionals who recommend their products.
So leveraging those relationships and building trust within the dental community is a key part of their game plan,
Yeah.
both domestically and internationally. What about new products? Are they investing in research and development to stay ahead of the curve?
Absolutely. They have an ongoing R&D program, and they're focusing particularly on innovations in clear aligners and pediatric products. They know that to stay competitive in this rapidly evolving industry, they need to constantly be pushing the boundaries.
It sounds like they have a pretty solid roadmap for the future.
Hmm.
But of course, no investment is without its risks. What are some of the potential challenges Laxmi Dental might face?
One of the biggest risks, and we touched on this earlier, is their dependence on their dental network.
Right.
Their entire B2B2C model hinges on dentists recommending their products to patients.
Right, so if anything disrupts those relationships or if dentists start favoring competitors' products, that could have a significant impact on Laxmi's revenue.
Precisely. And let's not forget about the increasing competition in the dental market.
Yeah.
We've talked about the big global players, but there are also a growing number of organized labs in India that are starting to challenge Laxmi's position.
So they need to keep innovating and differentiating themselves to stay ahead of the pack.
Exactly. Another risk to consider is the ever-changing landscape of medical device regulations.
No.
Both in India and internationally, these regulations are constantly evolving, and staying compliant can be complex and costly.
You mentioned CDSCO licensing requirements earlier. Can you elaborate on that for our listener?
Of course, CDSCO stands for the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization. It's the national regulatory body for pharmaceuticals and medical devices in India.
Okay.
So any company manufacturing or selling dental products in India, including Laxmi, needs to obtain the necessary licenses and approvals from the CDSCO.
So staying on top of those regulatory changes and ensuring compliance is crucial for Laxmi's success.
Yeah.
What other risks should investors be aware of?
One more thing to consider is their geographic concentration.
Okay.
All of their manufacturing is currently based in the Mumbai area.
Got it.
That makes them vulnerable to regional disruptions like natural disasters or even labor strikes.
So a lack of geographic diversification could potentially impact their production and supply chain.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's a lot to consider with this IPO. There are definitely some exciting growth opportunities, but also some inherent risks that investors need to carefully evaluate.
You're right. It's a complex picture, but that's often the case with companies operating in dynamic and rapidly growing industries.
But I think we did a pretty good job of breaking down the key aspects of Laxmi Dental's business, their financials, and their future prospects.
I agree. We've gone from their humble beginnings as a small lab
Right.
to their current position as a major player in the Indian dental market and their ambitions to become a global force.
We've also delved into their unique B2B2C model, their commitment to innovation, and those impressive financial figures that show their profitability is on the rise.
And of course, we haven't shied away from discussing the potential risks from their dependence on their dental network to the increasing competition and those ever-present regulatory hurdles.
So what does this all mean for someone thinking about investing in Laxmi Dental's IPO? What are the key takeaways you would want our listener to walk away with?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that Laxmi Dental is kind of a company at a crossroads.
They've got this proven track record in India. They're financially sound, and their growth trajectory is really impressive.
Yeah.
But they're also stepping onto the global stage where the competition is so much fiercer and the stakes are way higher.
Exactly. It's a classic case of can they scale? They've clearly figured out a winning formula in India, but can they replicate that success in markets like the US and the UK, where the dental landscape is pretty different?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's something you, as a potential investor, really need to think carefully about. Do they have the brand recognition, the distribution channels, and the product differentiation to make a dent in those established markets?
And let's not forget about those regulatory complexities. Navigating those different regulatory environments, from the FDA in the US to the MHRA in the UK, adds a whole other layer of challenge.
It's definitely not going to be easy.
Yeah.
But they've shown adaptability and a willingness to push boundaries.
Yeah.
Remember, they're the first Indian company to get FDA clearance for clear aligners. That's not a small feat.
It shows they're ambitious and they're not afraid to go up against the big players.
Right.
But ambition alone isn't enough. They'll need to execute flawlessly on their growth strategy, manage those risks effectively, and convince investors that they're more than just a regional success story.
So there's a lot to be excited about, but also a healthy dose of caution is warranted.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it comes down to your own risk tolerance and your belief in Laxmi Dental's ability to navigate these uncharted waters.
And that's where doing your own due diligence comes in. This deep dive has hopefully given you a good foundation.
Right.
But don't stop here.
Yeah.
Dig into their financial statements.
Yeah.
Read industry reports. And maybe even talk to some dentists who use their products.
Get a feel for the reputation, the quality of their products, and whether those dentists see them as a long-term partner. That kind of firsthand insight can be invaluable. It's all about getting comfortable with the company, the market, and the opportunity. And never investing in something you don't fully understand.
Couldn't agree more. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to investing. But sometimes knowledge can spark something even more powerful, curiosity.
Oh, I like that.
So we'd love to leave you with a question to ponder.
Okay.
Given Laxmi's focus on digital workflows and their mission to make high-quality dental solutions more affordable,
Mm-hmm.
could they become a major disruptor in the global dental market?
Could they challenge the status quo and really shake things up?
Mm.
Or will they remain a predominantly regional player, albeit a very successful one? We don't have all the answers, but we hope this deep dive has given you the tools and the inspiration to find your own.
And remember, the Frost & Sullivan report on their website is a goldmine of information. If you really want to get into the weeds, that's the place to go.
It's packed with insights about their business model, their competitive landscape, and the future of the dental industry. Definitely worth a read if you're serious about exploring this investment opportunity.
So there you have it. We've gone deep, we've analyzed, we've debated, and we've left you with some food for thought. Now it's your turn to take the reins and continue the exploration.
Happy investing, and as always, happy learning.